Hey there, Mr. T again. Well, here we are after 10 weeks of learning, and what have we learned? I can tell you what I've learned. I've learned that it's not so easy working from home.
3 hours later.
I've also learned that if I don't trim my beard, it gets longer. So what have you learned? Well, today we'll take a quick review about what we've learned, and then we'll talk about two very important things. Number one, I mentioned the opera. We'll talk about the opera for a second. And number two, very importantly, is which Mario brother did you choose? Did you choose Mario or did you choose Luigi? Later in the video, you'll find out. Let's go.
Lesson 1. Half steps and whole steps.
In Lesson 1, we talked about half steps and whole steps. Starting on any key and moving up to the very next key, whether it's black or white, is moving up a half step. So C moves up to C sharp. And D, moving down a half step, moves to D flat. 2 half steps make a whole step, just like in math. Starting on C and moving up a whole step or 2 half steps would take us to D. Starting on C and moving up 2 whole steps or 4 half steps would take us to E, and there is your major third.
Lesson 2. Major and minor sounds.
You probably sing this as your do, re, mi. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. So that's what we call a major scale. This is called a minor scale.
Lesson 3. Building a major scale.
The first step to the second step, re, we need what we call a whole step. That's 2 half steps. Then from re to mi, we need another whole step, 2 half steps. From mi to fa, the third step to the fourth step, there's only a half step, 1 half step. Then from fa to sol, the fourth to the fifth step, there is 2 half steps or a whole step. From sol to la is, again, a whole step. From la to ti is a whole step. And from ti to do, which is the 7th step, to the 8th step, or back to 1 again, is only a half step.
Lesson 4. The most important part of the major scale.
But it's the first 3 steps of the scale, do, re, mi, that can usually determine whether it's a major scale or a minor scale.
Lesson 5. Do, re, mi, major or minor.
You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count. Whoa. Possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. Want you to have it.
Lesson 6. Counting 8th note rhythms.
So there are 4 beats in a measure, and each beat is a quarter note. So there's 2 8th notes as a quarter note. That's 1 beat. Second beat, third beat, fourth beat right there. Now let's count the beats. This is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But now we're just going to whisper where the 8th note rests are. So we're going to whisper these like this. Do it with me. Ready? Go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One more time. Ready? Go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and.
Lesson 7. Is it major or is it minor?
Number 2. Major. Number 6. Minor.
Lesson 8. Tempo markings.
You say you don't know what the word tempo means or where to find it? Let's find out.
The tempo means the speed of the beat or the pulse of the music. You can usually find the tempo marking at the beginning of the music either as a word or as a number, meaning beats per minute, or both. Here are some common words, usually in Italian, used to describe tempo, from slowly to very quickly. Così Mama is set at 112 beats per minute, and it would sound like this. Mimi così mama. If we move the metronome to a faster tempo, like 200, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mimi così mama. Ah, you bendo.
Lesson 9. Dynamics.
So if I use little force or piano, the hammers strike gently. If I use lots of force or forte, see the hammers hit the strings a little harder. So this instrument is actually called the pianoforte because it can do both.
So the words we use are piano for soft, forte for loud, and if you wanted something in the middle or medium, we say the word mezzo. So mezzo means middle or medium, mezzo piano is medium soft, mezzo forte is medium loud. And if you wanted something more than forte, louder, you would add issimo to the end of the word, making it fortissimo, which means very loud. And if you wanted something more than piano, softer, you would say pianissimo, very soft. Most of the time, we just use letters to represent dynamics. And pianissimo, well, you guessed it, PP. Cut it out. We can also just use these signs that look like less than and greater than signs in math.
Bravo, bravo a tutti. Bravo, bravo.
Lesson 10. Articulations.
Before we get to that example of fermata, let's take a look at the other articulations we talked about. The accent. Emphasize this note, play it with a little more force. Marcato means marked, with more force than an accent. Staccato. Play this note shorter than its value, detached from the other notes. Tenuto means held. Play this for the full value and maybe even emphasize it a little. A slur. Connect the notes, play them smoothly. And legato. Legato means play the whole phrase smoothly and connected. And now, the fermata. Wait for it.
Now that you know lots of ways that the composer communicates with you on how to play the music, go and be musical. Always check the tempo markings, always check the dynamics, and check the articulations in order to play it the way the composer wants it to sound.
Game over.
And now, the answer to the question you've all been waiting for. Did you choose Mario or did you choose Luigi? The answer as of today is 60 people chose Mario, 35 people chose Luigi. Sorry, Luigi. Better luck next time.
Mamma mia!
So we talked about the opera and the reason why we use so much Italian in our music and how all of the composers from Europe traveled to Italy to learn this new art form called opera. But what is the opera? Do you know what the opera is? What is opera? Let's take a look.
The opera is basically a play set to music where all the characters sing instead of speak. Designed and developed in the early 1600s during the Renaissance, it took plays and dramatic stories and combined singing, orchestra, dance, and art, all of the arts put together. Early operas often used Greek or Roman mythology stories with fantastic sets and amazing costumes. The stories were often about lovers, or tragedy, or even comedy, but always combined with beautiful music. Listen to the thrilling music when these two lovers reunite after being released from prison. The opera often required great demands on the human voice. And my absolute favorite singer, Luciano Pavarotti, singing Nessun Dorma, ending with the words, "I will win."
All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò.
We usually categorize voices in four basic groups. The soprano is the high woman's voice, the alto, the low woman's voice, the tenor, the high man's voice, and the bass, the low man's voice. This is particularly true for choral music. When speaking about opera voices, we have many more categories, like the soprano of a high woman's voice, then there's a countertenor, a very high man's voice, mezzo-soprano instead of alto for low woman's voice. The tenor is the high man's voice, a baritone is the man's middle voice, and the bass is still the low man's voice. Listen to these opera singers as they demonstrate their vocal range from the lowest to the highest.
Amici sono qui, amici sono qui, amici sono qui.
What will your adult voice sound like?
So I hope you've enjoyed these musical lessons, and we hope that you'll go forward singing and playing in a more musical way, and learning more as you go along your musical journey. So we're done for a little while for now. It's been great being with you. We'll see you next time. Hallelujah.